This week I'd like to take a look at the tool known as Nearpod. Several teachers in the building are using Nearpod successfully. It is a presentation app that allows students to interact with you as you are providing presentation content. So to get started, Nearpod is free if you want a basic edition. There are some subscriptions for it, and I believe the district is looking into a site license as well. So I'm already registered for Nearpod, and I'm going to sign in. And I just clicked on create in order to start a new one, and I can see that I've already started some there. And if I go to explore, I can look at different lessons that are already available to you, created by other teachers. Some of these may apply, some of these may not apply, but you can see that there are some for all different areas. Even if you just want to look at an example to see what some ideas of what some other teachers have created, that's available to you, and it's divided by grade level there as well. But I'm going to go back to my main area here, my library, and I'm going to, you can see that I have some previously created ones, but I'm going to go to create now because I want to make my own. So I have the ability to upload documents if I wanted to go from a PDF file or a previously created presentation, so I'm not creating things from scratch. But just for example purposes, I'm going to click on New Presentation. So if I didn't want to use Keynote or if I didn't want to use PowerPoint to make mine, I could actually make my presentation right here in Nearpod. So I'm going to click on Add Content. I'm going to add a slide, and I'll just make an example title slide here. Admittedly, it's a little bit cumbersome in order to make an entire presentation using Nearpod, so I would recommend creating that presentation in another format that perhaps you may even have that presentation already created, and then enhancing it with Nearpod. So you might want to make it in PowerPoint, in Keynote, or whatever it is, or if you have a PDF of something, or if you have Smart Notes already, or whatever would meet your needs or your students' needs. So what I have done here is I've already uploaded a PDF of a Keynote that I've made obviously in Keynote. And then I've enhanced it with Nearpod. You can see some of these boxes are grayed out because there's different activities that I have within my lesson. So going back into one of these here, as you can see, if I wanted to upload something, I can just click on whatever it is I wanted to upload, and I just drop it into Nearpod. And just doing this as an example here, I'm not actually going to do it because I've already done it, but I just drop my PDF there, and there is my example. So I'm going to open up my example presentation here on the Constitutional Convention, and as I said, all of these grayed out boxes are different activities. So if I wanted to, I could add content if I wanted to, but I want to add an activity just to show you what some of the activities that you could add. So I could put an open-ended question where a student could respond, a poll, a quiz. I could have them draw matching pairs, or I could have them fill in the blanks. In this particular lesson, I had them do everything, I believe, one time. Sometimes they're drawing, sometimes they're answering a question. What's really neat is you could take these results and share them immediately to the other class. You could take one student's drawing and share it on every other student's device. So I'm going to publish that. I'm going to pretend I put in all of my activities that I wanted to, and I'm going to end up running this presentation. So I'm going to click on that presentation that I just made, and I'm going to click on More Live Session, and it's going to give me a code. So I can have this up on my screen, and then when students, there's an app called Nearpod if they're using this on their iPad, or if they wanted to, if you have MacBooks available or computers available, they would just go to nearpod.com and type in that code in order to join that session. So I'm going to do this just from the side of a student getting on this from a MacBook, but the same thing would be true if they were going on the Nearpod app on an iPad. They would just be joining this presentation, and I would have control on the teacher side of what that student is seeing on their screen. So I control the pacing, I make sure I know what's on that screen, and what's really neat is if a student's not on my screen, I will get a notification. It's a red dot that somebody is not on the appropriate spot at all times. And here's an example of an activity. I just had a student write and draw a visual. So they circle whatever word they would want to draw a visual for. This is one of the activities. So I am just going to have them circle revise here and draw something that they think would represent a revision. and then when the student is done, they would hit send, and I would see this on the teacher side. But what's also pretty cool is if a student did an excellent example, I can share that example to everybody in the class. So here I just have some true or false questions, so I'm getting some instant feedback as that lesson is going along. Again, I control the pacing. So if I want to shorten readings and put those on the screen, I have an open-ended question. So a student would submit this. Again, the teacher would only see that, but the teacher does have the ability to share this with the entire class if that would be up to the teacher of that classroom. So it's basically an ultra-enhanced interactive PowerPoint keynote. It's taking some of the things that we already do and enhancing it. So there's a matching game. Whether or not this is applicable to you, that would be your decision, obviously. Moving forward, as you can see, this is just a typical presentation. And then there is a little fill-in-the-blank scramble here that will give students instant feedback, 1 out of 8 correct, or however many they have correct. You can have students draw on an image. This would especially be true perhaps when you're looking at a map or diagramming sentences. You could have students do that and get that instant feedback, as I said, or as I've done here, using a map, and they are circling the 5 states with the highest rate of slavery. So that's a little introduction into the tool known as Nearpod. As I said earlier, I believe the district is looking into some licensing. There's a free version that is available. There's also the gold version if you are interested in budgeting for that for next year.